This is a story about what happens when you have breast cancer, told in real time.
Well, my official name is Dr. Tita Gray, and I have a doctorate degree I got from San Diego State. I used to be a professor there, and probably one of the best jobs I ever had in my life was working in higher ed and teaching. And many of my students are still some of my closest friends, but now we're family. And I went back east for a little while, still worked in higher ed there, but it was mainly because my aunt, who was dying from cancer, was my mom's twin sister. And I was really just concerned about my mom's emotional health and being. And then COVID hit, so I had to stay and make sure that she was going to be okay through that, even though I couldn't really see her because she was in a senior apartment building. But I was like, I need to be close. And then it ended, and this all sort of fits in. I decided I wanted to come back to California and was just kind of working random jobs, doing some consulting work. And then finally, I had an interview for the position I'm in right now, where I run a department for human resources for the LA County Superior Court. And so it's been amazing. I put out a couple of books through Montezuma Publishing, my old school, and self-published one myself about just my journey and sort of a memoir. Everything I do is kind of a way of giving back to others. I don't feel like I'm an award-winning writer, definitely not scholar or any of that. As a matter of fact, I got my doctorate degree because I wanted other Black students, or particularly women of color, to see that they could go work full-time, be an older person, and still get a doctorate degree. I wanted the students on campus, because there weren't many Black students, to be able to have someone that looks like them that they could call doctor. And that was really important to me. So there's not too much of a selfish bone in my body. So I even feel like this journey with breast cancer is so that I can possibly give back to others in some way.
And so can you tell us a little bit about, first of all, I am honored that you're with us.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I so appreciate you trusting me and trusting us with your journey.
You're kind of easy to like, almost right off the bat. So,
thanks. Thanks. And I really, truly am here for you with whatever you need, whenever you need it. So can you take us back a little bit to when you found it? So you mentioned that you found it yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know what's crazy, though? I remember my mammogram last year, and they wrote again density, and they were talking about one particular area, and it was this left breast. And I remember that whenever I would do my own breast exam, I was like, this just feels weird over here. And I wish in hindsight that I had said, can I have a sonogram? For some reason, I don't feel comfortable on this, because it was just like, yeah, we should just probably watch this. And I'm like, probably watch it? So what does that mean? Because either if we watch it, that means something's going to happen, or no, what are we watching? And I wish I had, because I have a feeling that this might have been there even last year, but just not showing up in the mammogram. But if we had done a sonogram, probably would have seen it. So I was getting ready to, I started a new job October 27th, 2022. My new insurance kicked in January. And then I started working on getting my primary care provider. And that just was hell. It was just back and forth. This person, wrong person, no time. And I finally called my insurance and I said, look, I really want to have a mammogram. I really have to, get a colonoscopy, all these major checkups I want to have done. And I need you to help me get a provider. So they hooked me up with UCLA Health, and it was amazing. And so I'm doing breast exams at home, and then all of a sudden I feel a lump. And it was a lump. It wasn't like, is that something? It was like, oh, no, this is a lump. So a couple of days go by, and I was like, okay, call my primary care doctor. She wasn't available. So I said, I need to speak to the next available doctor. I need to see you right away. I found a lump on my breast. I met with her. She said, definitely it is a lump. I'm going to set up an appointment for a mammogram and a sonogram. And she set it up with UCLA, but the opening they had was in November. And I was like, oh, I'm not waiting till November. So I did my own calls and stuff and found a provider who could see me on, let me see, I think September 21st. And then what happened was I noticed that in that area where there was a lump, it was now sort of discolored. Like I could see the coloring. And I said, well, nope, I'm not waiting till September 21st. So I found somebody who could see me like in a week. So it was a September 8th or something like that. And went in and they said, yes, she has to have a biopsy. And so then my primary care doctor again was like, okay, well, we'll make an appointment for you to have a biopsy, but you're going to have to bring the imaging all the way out to Santa Monica or someplace else. And then they'll set up an appointment. A doctor will see it and set up an appointment. And I was like, I'm not doing all of that. So I actually called Dignity Health, where I went to at St. Mary's here in Long Beach. And they said, we can do the biopsy right here. We already have the imaging. We have doctors, they'll do the biopsy. And they said, we can literally get it done next week. Fine. And did that. They got that biopsy done. And it went back to my primary care doctor. And she called me and she said, yes, it does show positive for breast cancer. And I need to get you in to see an oncologist ASAP. That was a Thursday. And I saw my oncologist, maybe 2 Mondays ago, 2 weeks ago, something like that. And she was amazing. I brought one of my best friends with me to the appointment. And it wasn't really for morale, I just wanted to make sure I didn't forget anything. And maybe she could hear something that I didn't hear. But the oncologist even had a stenographer with her. And this young lady was taking copious notes. As a matter of fact, the doctor brought up something and she was like, oh, could you get da, 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 da? And she said, I already did. So, and it's just been now a whirlwind of radiology, PET scan and a brain scan and another MRI scan, breast scan. And that was interesting because that showed that there was another spot, it's very small, and that there could be something on the right side as well. So I am going to have another biopsy done, but my doctor just kind of feels like these small things will be taken care of with chemo. That's one of the reasons why she was just like, we just need to go in and just do aggressive chemotherapy right away. They seem to be kind of surprised by my reaction. And I said, I don't know how to react because was I shocked? Yeah, when I found the lump, I was shocked. And I kind of had in my head, and I was like, okay, well, let me go through the motions and not going to really share it with a lot of folks until I know what I know. And then I was just kind of like, this is such an inconvenience. This is just such a pain in the ass. Okay, so I feel like there's a higher purpose that this is happening for. So I'm going to learn as much as I can, share as much as I can. And it doesn't mean that I don't get emotional about it, but it's not like a, oh, why me emotion. This day and age, things that we're facing in this world. I mean, there's people that are dying from loneliness and suffering from mental health issues that are really devastating and debilitating. And I have something that actually, had I known certain things that I know now, I probably could have caught it a year earlier. So I've been passing on these things that I've been learning to, other women. And it's just been great conversations. Yeah.
That's exactly kind of why we do this.
Mm-hmm.
And I love your your outlook on it. I always say that it was so rude because I was like in the best shape of my life. And I was like, come on, like really? And I'm still 25 pounds over that. And I just, you work your whole life to be in great shape and all of that when you're in your 50s and 60s and 70s. And then all of a sudden something comes and takes your feet out from under you, and it's just, again, it's so inconvenient and rude.
Yes, it's absolutely just rude. And And, there's certain things, though, that I found out. My oncologist, the first appointment, was asking me all these questions. And I was just kind of like, I don't know why that's significant, huh? So then something said, I went online myself and did some research. And I said, what are the reasons why you can get breast cancer? And literally about 3, well, the majority of them I was dealing with. Or like, if you got your period, started your period before 12 years old and start going to menopause. And not only did I go into menopause, but I also had a hysterectomy because of a cyst that was there, was large, and all this other stuff. And that's one of the contributors to breast cancer. And then there were
They don't tell you that.
Right. And then there were a few others. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was going through this. My mom passed away in December. And while I was going back and forth to Boston in November while she was in the hospital, and then in December, and then knowing that she wasn't going to make it, I was a wreck. My mom was my best friend. But yet I just started this new job. And it's not like I needed to keep face because they're the most wonderful people that I have ever worked with. They were offering to send me money because I had to go back and forth. They were like, don't worry about work, you're good. And I just started. You know what I'm saying? So for people to be like that empathetic and caring when they barely know you says a lot. But I was still worried. And then when she did pass, and then some things my sibling was putting me through that were just horrific. And I started drinking. And when I say started drinking, I'm such a wuss. But it was like 2 drinks here. Okay, I'll go out on the weekend. I'll have a couple. It's never like getting drunk. I'm the worst drunk possible. I'm just too much of a happy drunk. So I don't do it. And I was eating uncharacteristically for myself. So I'm flying back and forth. I'm staying at a hotel instead of family. I'm staying with family. They're taking me out to drink, and I'm eating red meat. I'm eating lots of pasta. I'm eating just comfort food. I'm eating baked goods, which I don't really do sweets. And I started putting on a lot of weight. And so the weight that I was putting on, they talk about it. It was stress weight.
Right.
And I wasn't working out. And so all these lists of things, I was like, so what I realized though, my auntie, my mom's twin sister, also had breast cancer, and she beat it. And then cancer came back, and it came back with a vengeance and just took her out. But I do believe that it was always there, dormant, but based on some of the characteristics that they say are the reasons for getting it, and some of my own personal behavior, I think that triggered it. But it gave me a whole different outlook on how this can happen, come about, ways that it could have been prevented. And now I really suggest everybody get a genetic test.
I was just going to ask, did you do genetic testing?
Yeah, I didn't get the results yet, but I definitely did.
It takes a while.
Yeah.
Oh, I did the genetic testing. And even though my mom had ovarian cancer, I had 0 markers out of 81. Wow. So I went through a period of time where I was like, wow, I caused this. Or wow, this workplace thing caused this. And I feel the same way. I feel like there's a great book that's called, it's by Dr. Greger, called How Not to Die. And I just read listened to actually the part about cancer. But in there, he talks about how we all have dormant cells. And eventually, they're going to come out. It could be when we're 150 and no one ever gets cancer while they're living. But that there are mutant cells that are there dormant. Right. And that sometimes our behaviors can bring them out. And so I know that you're a smart enough and savvy enough person not to get down on yourself about those things. No, but it's one of those things that we tend to do. And as women, with all that we try to do, the stress is kind of always underlying. But I want to say I'm really sorry about your mom, though. I'm so sorry. That amount of stress is nuts.
Yeah, it was crazy. But you know what? I had this theory, and it was when everybody was. I lost a couple of people for COVID, and during COVID, and I got it twice, and neither time was I sick. Like I was tired, and that was really it. I was a little lethargic. I was so tired, whatever. And then there were people who were athletes and 20, 30 years younger than me, and they're not recuperating, they're not getting better, or their sickness is prolonged even after they tested negative. And I just said to myself, what the hell is that about? And I said, you know what? I bet that's a DNA thing, because if you have something that is dormant, some, genetic issue or something that's just there that hasn't been triggered. And that was, I thought about it and I was just like, because this doesn't make sense to me. And now, though, knowing what I know with being diagnosed with breast cancer, I was like, that's my theory and I'm sticking to
it. Totally.
Between when they called you and said, you have breast cancer, Tita, and the oncologist appointment, sounds like it was a few weeks.
No, it was a few days.
It was a few days. What did you do with yourself?
No, it was a Wednesday and my oncology appointment was that Monday. I did everything that I had already planned. Like, I was still working. I took Toby to the dog park. Oh, some friends came over and we hung out and had a couple of bottles of Prosecco and laughed and joked and stuff. And everybody, I called folks and started telling them then that here's what's going on with me. So I talked to a lot of people who were very close to me and my immediate family back east. And the day of, people were texting me, hey, whatever the situation is, we got you, let us know. What do you need? And it was like, it was that for even after the appointment, the next day. But in retrospect, I believe that a couple of times I did get emotional. Yeah, I know at one time in particular, I was in the kitchen and I was talking to my mom and I was like, I wish you were here. I know that if you were here, you would be here. You would jump on a plane with your canes and everything else, and you would be right here with your baby. And I didn't break down, but definitely shed some tears. And I was cooking, so I was like, well, I can't mess up my food. So I was like,
I would have burnt my food and fell on the ground.
I was like, this cod was way too expensive for me to mess this up. So, and I was following a recipe too. So it was a really great distraction. So I was like, get on track, girl. Come on, dry those tears. And that was the last I was drinking of like a my favorite, I would say almost my favorite beer is peanut butter stout. It's called Belching Beaver. And it's so good because I love peanut butter. I'm like a peanut butter hound. And so I just, after that, those tears, I opened up a bottle of my stout and I was just like, hey. So that's been my journey with it. Now it's just October 30th is when it starts and it's every single week.
That's chemo day?
And it's every day up until December 27th. The 25th is Christmas, that Monday. So they moved it.
It's daily?
It's weekly. Did I say every day? Oh, goodness. No, weekly. Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, I got to go up there.
No.
Okay. Weekly.
Yes, it's 8 treatments. And 2 of those treatments are 4 hours. Every other one is 1 hour. Yeah, the one actually on the 30th, the first one is for 4 hours.
And I'm sure that you don't know what the drug is yet, but
I have no idea. I'll tell you this, I think that what my doctor is probably doing she's a very methodical person, I could tell, and very patient, but she's waiting for all the tests to come back. And I still have to do another biopsy. But one day they have that thing that they put in you so that
the port,
yeah, one of those days, that's, not looking forward to that.
No, well, I can tell you, I had my port put in almost 3 years ago, and it was right here. You can't see it.
Okay.
You can see a little indentation.
Mm-hmm.
And, a lot of people have reservations about getting a port, but it's so easy for them to deliver the medication that way. And depending on the type of medicine, it can really thrash the veins in your arms. So I'm really glad that getting a port is just a foregone conclusion for you.
Yeah. And also, too, I mean, all the needles I've been getting and the radiation and all this stuff, I was just kind of like, you know what? If that's what you feel, if that's what you recommend, I know I have options. But when you explain it to me, the reason why, I'm like, yeah, because I don't want to have to keep getting poked and prodded every single week.
So from here, you have your port placement. You had your PET scan today. Am I right? Yeah. How'd that go? I haven't had a PET scan.
It made me feel really kind of weird afterwards. I was tired a little bit because, you have to drink that stuff, and then they put some other stuff in your arm, and pretty much like kind of I've been having so much radiation from brain scan and the MRI, breast scan. And so I just think my body was kind of like, what the hell is all this stuff? Because they put stuff in you every single time.
So it's with contrast, with and without, because they want to see it all.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the weirdest feeling for all this stuff that, like, it's just routine now. It's not even a question of, do you want this in your body? It's like, this is what we're doing because this is the test and we have to have this information.
Yep.
One of the things that I found myself really struggling with was I'm feeling pretty good. And a month from now, I'm going to feel like shit. And I'm making this choice to do that. Like, I am going to go break my body down. And I am so happy that you're doing the immunotherapy as well. Is that what happens with the 4 hours, or do you know what that looks like at all?
I don't know that yet, but my doctor made it very clear that that's what they're going to be doing. And I think she said it is simultaneously. So yeah, I'm not really sure of the process. But she was very excited about that because she said, it's fairly new, but it's been working really well to help people with side effects, and their overall immune system.
Fantastic.
I wouldn't be very truthful if I didn't say that I am anxious. I'm not apprehensive and I'm not scared, but I'm definitely anxious about the beginning of chemo. That's the best word I can use. I'm not even really stressed about it because I'm focusing more on, we have choices in how we want to think about things. Even if you have to really write it down, create affirmations, and whatever you have to do to tell yourself that you need to remain optimistic and positive, no matter what. And so I do that regularly. I laugh. I talk to people who I have things that I can laugh about with them. I listen to everybody else's drama and trauma, and I just like, yeah. And then they're like, oh, wait a minute, I shouldn't be talking about me. And I'm like, no, please, because it's a great distraction. I'm blessed that the work that I do for the court is diversity, equity, and inclusion work. So I'm constantly doing things to help others, to change our culture to be a positive and welcoming culture. So the work that I'm doing is to gives back. And that just helps me. So I can just have a little bit of a distraction from this annoying thing that I have to go through right now. Yeah, it's just annoying to me. It's just so rude.
It is so rude.
It seems like you have done a lot of work around change management, helping people change, teaching others how to handle change. And I wonder if you're maybe feeling a little bit like now you have to teach yourself some of the stuff you've been teaching others.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Somebody gave me a basket. I'm in a sorority, and one of the largest African-American sororities. And somebody won a basket, and it was all breast cancer related. And she gave it to me. She won it, and she gave it to me. And so I took they had this magnet there for your car, and it says never give up, and it has the ribbon. And, and I put it on my car right away. And so that's another affirmation. So every time I get out of my car, I pass it and I'm just like, yeah, never give up. So you're absolutely right, Ava. I constantly do things to have to remind myself of the things that I usually have to I'm telling other people.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, one of the things that I'm looking forward to too is we kind of get thrown into this breast cancer culture arena. And with Instagram and all of that, I'm pretty involved and I see a lot of the talk. And I know that women of color have it's a very different experience with breast cancer and very different things to look for. People don't really understand how to help women of colors with breast cancer. And so I'm really looking forward to what you bring to the table, your honesty and things that you find out that may be different.
I'm glad you bring this up. Several of my colleagues at work who are African American women that I'm close to, have developed friendship with, I literally got them all on a call and I said, here's what's going on with me. But I also told them some of the things that I learned. And none of them knew of genetic testing. And what I found in the healthcare industry, unfortunately, historically, African Americans have been treated differently, and particularly women. It's kind of crazy. I'm just going to segue off a little bit. I remember once getting dental work done, and this particular young man was a brand new dentist. He's from Asia, China. And I was having extensive work done, and he wasn't giving me the pain medication that I needed. And when I screamed and kicked at him, and they came back and were talking to me and said, well, his impression is that African Americans, women, don't need as much. They have more of a threshold for pain. Now, check this out. It is not something that is new. This is something that if you check in articles, if you do research on how there has been a thought that African Americans, particularly women, have a higher threshold for pain in healthcare, there are articles among articles on top of articles. And this is also a perception of people that come from other countries because this is what they have heard. So you bring up a good point. It has nothing to do with racism. It has nothing to do with its ignorance, and it is absolute bias, whether implicit or explicit. And it does continue. And so a lot of Black women don't know about genetic testing. Maybe a lot of people don't. But it's something that we should know and that our insurance covers. And it costs, I think, less than $100 overall.
Yeah. I'm so glad that you explained it because I know there's an issue. I couldn't tell you what it was because it's just in the community, there's a buzz, but it has not been explained. And I am someone who never wants to offend. Right. Or go someplace that I'm not welcomed to go in questioning. So I really value that you were able to tell us that in that way, because I don't think it's something that people who are white.
Well, I saw the shock. I saw the shock on both of your faces, and it's funny when when I say this because there's so many articles out there about, and it's not that you're sitting around reading American Journal of Medicine, articles like that's your favorite reading.
Actually, I am. Eva's a nerd, she does, but
it's, and because I was a vice president for, American Dental Education Association, and I worked within access, diversity, and inclusion, I worked with a lot of Black dentists, and it's all documented. The information is there, the research is there, and it's just like, supposedly we have this threshold for pain that others don't. I'm just like, no, you all just weren't giving us the medicine, the pain medicine that we needed. And as a result, we struggled through it.
Right. But anything that is a significant difference or anything that is maybe a dense breast situation or some markers or some kind of symptoms that may be different for African-American women than me.
I think one of the things that I will start talking about too, and definitely with my sorority, because many of the women I see are very, very, very overweight, and they're obese. And it's just that you have to make quality changes. It has nothing to do with aesthetics and all of that. But there are things that you should understand about how bacteria sits in your stomach, just different things that we can change to change our health and the quality of health. And then that's sort of what I'm learning. I'm just picking up all these little things that I want to pass on and then just say, you have choices. You don't have to do this. You can change it, because eventually something is going to prevent you from having the quality of life that you really want to have when you get in your 60s and 70s, if it hasn't already bothered you.
So on the 30th is your first chemo. Mm-hmm. And are you doing that at UCLA? Where are you doing that?
Yeah, in Torrance.
Okay.
Yes.
In Torrance. Okay, that's great, because that's not far from Long Beach. I like that.
Yeah, exactly. And my friends that live in Torrance, it's literally 2 miles from their house.
Oh, good.
And so I'm going to stay with them one day. And then my other good friend is going to come from LA and take me and stay with me for the 6th. So they're all making plans of what days they're going to stay with me. And my neighbor, who's the registered nurse, is going to do any of the days that they can't. So I have, give her the calendar, and everybody wants each other's number and everything. And I'm like,
I love it.
In my head, I'm like, I'm going to be fine. But I'm like, cut it out. Let people take care of you.
It's hard. It's very hard to let people take care of you, but let them.
Yes.
One thing I wanted to find out from you too is, do you have any questions for me? You can always text me. You can always call me. But like right now, is there anything that you're wondering from the veteran?
Exactly. The crazy veteran thing.
Isn't it? It's the worst club.
It's just right. It's just how does chemo feel? Like, how does it feel going in your body? Because it's killing everything. So it's just this feeling of like death is going in my body. Like, what I mean? Like, what does that feel like?
So first they'll do a flush and it's kind of cold. One thing that I thought was the weirdest thing is when they flushed with saline, my mouth tasted like what I thought acetone for your nail polish, remember? What it tastes like. I don't know. It was weird. And it depends on the chemo that you have.
True.
I had the AC chemo, which they called the Red Devil, and they had me sucking on ice chips during that time because it can cause sores in your mouth. I mean, it didn't really feel like anything except when I started with the Taxol. Now, Eva, do you remember the full body itching? There was the first time I had Taxol.
What is that?
It's a chemo drug.
Oh, okay.
I had AC for 8 weeks and it was every other week. And then the Taxol I had for 12 weeks and it was every week. And they had me wearing ice mittens and ice booties because it can cause neuropathy.
Oh,
but
wow.
It literally made my genitals itch like nothing I had ever imagined. And my whole body was itching for like 20 minutes. And I was bald. And I was putting my my cold mittens on my head because that's the only way I could get, my head to stop itching.
Right, some stimulation.
Yeah, something. So it completely depends on the drug.
Okay. You were home while you were itching, scratching your genitals, so right? You weren't like...
No, I was in the chair.
Oh.
I was...
at chemo.
It was during the infusion. I was sitting there just doing this. And I was like calling her. I was buzzing her. I was like, I'm itching everywhere. Oh, yeah, that'll stop soon. I'm like, when? She's like, 20 minutes. I'm like,
I'll be raw by then.
Exactly. I was like, okay, I'm just going to sit here. So I kind of just sat there. Yeah. So, and then I think Natasha said that, she said my butthole itched.
Oh my God.
I don't know what the itching is down in that area. I don't know if there's extra nerves or what, but yeah, I think that we called that a new type of hell or something like that. When Eva was hearing about it.
You should really save some of this for later, or maybe I just
can.
Okay.
Save some of these treats for later, Kristen.
Sorry about that. Little TMI.
I mean, women go through 9 months of childbirth and they go through tons of different things, and birthing a child it's a very serious thing. Well, it happens all the time, but it's routine, but it's still not, it's dangerous.
Right.
And I'm not trying to compare the two because one is absolutely amazing and the other, going through cancer, is ridiculous. But your body goes through all these crazy things and you don't expect it the first time. You don't know what to expect. So you just go through it with no expectations. So that's kind of how I'm facing it. It's like, whatever it is going to be, I'll call Kristen afterwards and just be like, God.
Exactly. Well, what I was going to say is, if you're okay with it, within a day or two after that first chemo, I would love to get back on the mic.
Okay.
If you're feeling well enough.
All right. Well, I'm your girl. We're going to do this together.
All right.
I love you, Tita. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you, Ava. It's nice meeting you.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
We appreciate you and we love you.
Yeah, I love you all too.
Yeah, so much.
All right. Well, it's nice
Huge
meeting
kisses.
you, Ava. Big
You too.
kisses to you, Kristen, as well. And I will talk with you all soon.
Thank you for listening to Breast Cancer Stories. To continue telling this story and helping others, we need your help. All podcasts require resources, and we have a team of people who produce it. There's costs involved, and it takes time.
If you believe in what we're doing and have the means to support the show, you can make a one-time donation, or you can set up a recurring donation in any amount through the PayPal link on our website at breastcancerstoriespodcast.com/donate.
To get the key takeaways from each episode, links to anything we've talked about, and promo codes or giveaways from our partners, sign up for our email newsletter.
You'll get notes and thoughts from me related to each episode and links to the most useful resources for all the breast cancer things. So if you have chemo brain, you'll be able to just go read your email, find anything we talked about on the podcast without having to remember it.
The link to sign up is in your show notes and on the newsletter page at breastcancerstoriespodcast.com.
We promise not to annoy you with too many emails.
Thanks for listening to Breast Cancer Stories. If you're facing a breast cancer diagnosis and you want to tell your story on the podcast, send an email to hello@theaxis.io. I'm Eva Shea, your host and executive producer. Production support for the show comes from Mary Ellen Clarkson, and our engineer is Daniel Cruiser. Breast Cancer Stories is a production of The Axis, TheAxis.io.